Hello and welcome to Business Incorporated live on Channels Television. It's the first full trading week in October. Here are the stories you should be looking at. And it's Customer Service Week 2025, and this year's theme is Mission Possible. We track how organizations are preparing to celebrate their service teams. And copper prices stalled today as markets digest signals from the Fed and scrutinize global mine production. And in a notable boost to its foreign reserves, Egypt's gold holdings jumped by 12% in September, rising from $14 billion to $15.84 billion. It's great to have you join us. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's get a quick check on what's playing out with the markets that we track. Now, we're seeing oil prices they climb more than 1% today after OPEC Plus announced a smaller than expected production increase for November, easing fears of a supply surge. Brent crude rose by 1.5% and up now by 1.91% at $65.76 a barrel. Remember, Brent fell about 8% last week. WTI, that fell about 7% last week. Big drops for the week there, but starting off quite strong. Let's see if the bulls can take some kind of control in the oil market. Let's get a check on metals now. We see gold prices surge to a record high today, breaking past the $3,900 per ounce mark. As investors, they're looking for refuge in safe haven assets amid mounting U.S. political and economic uncertainty. The rally comes as fears of a prolonged government shutdown and growing expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts drive strong demand for the bullion. Spot gold climbed by 1.3%. That's $3,938, and we've seen other metals there looking strong. 1.40% uptake for U.S. gold futures. Palladium, that's up 0.23%. Platinum, 0.11%. And we see the likes of spot silver aiming for that $50 level at this point, $48.35 per ounce. That's what we have for silver. To other stories now, we see Egypt saw a sharp rise in its gold reserves in September, with holdings climbing from $14.09 billion to $15.84 billion, a jump of about 12.5%. That's from provisional central bank data right there in Egypt. Meanwhile, the country's total net foreign reserves rose modestly to about $49.53 billion, although its foreign currency reserves, that edged down right there in Egypt. Then organizations around the world are marking Customer Service Week 2025, celebrated from October 6th to the 10th under the theme Mission Possible. The annual event recognizes the vital role of customer service professionals and emphasizes teamwork, innovation, and excellence in delivering outstanding customer experience. This year's theme highlights the power of service teams to overcome challenges and strengthen customer loyalty in an increasingly digital and competitive business environment. We'll keep tracking how some of the listed companies are going to celebrate those professionals this week. All right, to East Africa now. Kenya's fiscal position is under growing strain. In July, government revenue collections fell by 25.1 billion Kenyan shillings, short of the target, coming in at about 212 billion Kenyan shillings instead of the expected 237.7 billion Kenyan shillings. The shortfall widens, concerns over the country's ability to manage expenditure pressures amid, sluggish growth. According to the latest budget review and outlook paper, the 2025-2026 fiscal year is projected to carry a deficit of 900.9 billion Kenyan shillings, equivalent to 4.7% of GDP, to be financed through a combination of foreign domestic borrowing. So that's what's happening right there in Kenya. All right, to another conversation now. As Africa seeks new engines for sustainable growth, a central question emerges. How can research and technology be transformed into real economic and social value, despite a growing pool of innovators and scientific talent? Much of the continent's research output remains under-commercialized, limiting its impact on industries, jobs, and communities. Conversation now turns to bridging that gap, exploring how collaboration among universities, governments, and private sector can unlock innovation. Joining me now for this conversation, we have Professor Eukaria Nwaichi, a board member at Triple Helix Nigeria. Great to have you on the show.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Gladys.
All right, so tell me, what does turning research and technology into value, what does that mean in practical terms for Africa's development journey?
Um, you can see translating research and technology into value. For me, it means ensuring that the knowledge, the products, and the innovation that come out from universities or knowledge institutions in general really move from shelves to the marketplace so that they can begin to create solutions that will create the improved life that we're seeking and also jobs in the market, as well as strengthening economies. So it's about connecting ideas to industries and innovation to investment so that if, for example, we have a waste treatment process developed in the laboratory, they can be a scalable green technology. Just like you can have a medical diagnosis tool, getting to rural communities, accessing them, which is desirable in a climate. So for Africa, transformation is really very fundamental in this, having us shift from being consumers of global technologies now to creators and exporters of technologies and solutions that connect with our realities. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great to see, Africa exporting technology. But how would you describe the state of research commercialization and technology transfer in Nigeria and across Africa today?
Yeah, you see, we are making progress. That's what I can see. But then we still have a long way to go. If you look at it now, there is an incredible research output coming out from the knowledge institutions in Africa. But translation is really moving at a snail pace, meaning that only fraction of our research outputs have been able to make it to the market or have been able to inform policy, which is again desirable. So we are seeing positive shift though, because there is now rise of innovation laboratories, fellowships, IP offices in universities and research institutes, innovation hubs. We are seeing that coming, and even funding mechanisms. So what that tells us is that the effort by agencies like NCDMB, TED Fund, African Development Banks to support applied research is yielding dividend, but something is still missing. A coordinated innovation ecosystem needs to happen. This will link the research, entrepreneurship, and then the policy in a seamless value chain.
So, what major gaps will you say are still preventing, research outcomes, from translating into, real economic or social value? And where do you see the most promising opportunities for change?
There are gaps that could include weak linkages between universities and industry. And also the awareness for the IP, the intellectual property, is very limited. How about funding? The funding that helps us to move prototype development or even innovation for early stage. We don't have enough of that. So that's affecting us. Policy frameworks also hasn't been balanced. So we have policies, but we need to have a very balanced enabling frameworks around the policies. But opportunities are bound for sectors like agriculture, clean energy, climate, health technology. These are very ripe for technologies that are locally informed to come in and strengthen the incubation ecosystem to provide incentives for researchers to keep connecting with industry, which is the way to go. So we can make in Africa a leapfrog from the traditional industrialization path. Yeah.
Right. I know you've been advocating, a university industry go collaboration model. How does this model, how does it accelerate innovation and value creation in our context, Nigeria?
Yeah, the triple helix model that we preach at Triple Helix Nigeria is a model that connects three actors that are very important: the university, or call it academia, industry, and government, because these people get into shared conversation and co-creation and something innovative happens. Why? because each of these three brings something very essential to the table. The universities are bringing knowledge and talent. The industry is making it scaled through providing capital and markets. And then the government gives the policy and enabling infrastructure. So you can see that these are essential elements in that triangle that needs to make it happen. So when they work in synergy, I can tell innovation becomes not only realized, but sustainable. In Nigeria, this approach will help us to align our research priorities with that of the national needs and market realities. Yeah, so transforming innovation from these isolated working in silos and now into a coordinated ecosystem that can give value that we can all see and connect with.
Right, and I'm also wondering the kind of conversations you're having, in your quarters there. Help us unpack how, you can, some of these strategies can be used in building a stronger innovation, ecosystem that, makes some African countries, some African, companies actually the first, when it comes to some of these, big ideas we see in the world.
Yeah, our biggest strategy for Triple Helix Nigeria is our vision, which is very ambitious. Our vision 10, 10, 10, 10, quadruple 10, meaning that 10 knowledge institutions will hold at least 10% equity in 10 listed public companies in the next 10 years. This is our biggest vision that we have developed a blueprint and innovation policy around it to achieve it. We're already tracking. So building a stronger innovation ecosystem requires this deliberate structure and policies that we have put in place. First, you must invest in research, infrastructure, talent development, and then incentivize partnerships, especially between the knowledge creators and the industry that will make it scaled. Then you co-fund projects. This way, partnerships are activated. So we also can think about the third one as fostering entrepreneurship by supporting innovation-driven startups and protecting that IP environment. Finally, what we can do is to promote regional collaboration, because research evidence has it that innovation flourishes when ideas and markets are connected across borders seamlessly. So our Triple Helix Nigeria's vision 10, 10, 10, 10 built precisely around these levers.
All right, so what are you seeing coming now in terms of trends, that you're seeing helping, Africa commercialize research, really, and I would like to gauge your optimism around that.
Okay, so the conversations are actually shifting from research output now to research outcome, because the research output is more like the short-term results from our research, but the outcome is the enduring one. So we are shifting from output to outcome, moving from publish or perish to now innovate or just remain relevant. That's where we're headed. And now a few exciting trends are emerging. We're seeing stronger emphasis on innovation diplomacy, which basically means that many researchers from our client, Africa, are being connected to global networks so they can leverage resources and infrastructure to make a very big leap. Also, the rise in university-based innovation, parks, technology incubation hubs, research to market, acceleration programs, and fellowships are newer trends. We also have digital tools like the one coming out from our Triple Helix Nigeria network called the Renoir, and AI that making it easier for prototype testing and scaling solutions to happen very quickly, because you have a crowd of diverse interested people, the researchers, the government, the entrepreneurs, and even venture capitalists, all in one place, looking for solution providers and those who can connect with them to make it, more adept. Another trend is impact-driven funding. That's very interesting in our world today. Investors now want you to showcase measurable social and environmental outcomes, no longer writing beautiful proposals, but how does it tie to social? How does it tie to environmental outcomes? So this impact-driven funding is another one. So the conversations are signaling that a system, an ecosystem is ready for research commercialization across Africa. And that's why our conference, Triple Helix Nigeria Science Business Conference, happening in Abuja this month from 15th to 17th, has carved the theme to be strengthening collaborative ecosystem for sustainable innovation and economic growth. So this is roundly structured around these trends that I have identified.
All right, so, definitely when we hear industrialization in Africa, we mostly think about, what's holding us back, as a continent when it comes to, stable power supply and all the other things that help, a country industrialize. So what key steps will you say policymakers, universities, and industry leaders, what steps do you think they should be taking right now to make sure African innovations actually scale and, can be sustained globally?
Yeah, so we have examples that can show us that sustainability is here with us. One example is in the oil and gas sector that we've seen partnership fostered through our own Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board has given results, helping local innovators develop and deploy technologies in Nigeria that were once imported. Now we can harvest locally. In bioremediation research, which is my own area of research, we have brought a lot of evidences that moved from university laboratories into pilot scale applications. And these have been, we have developed and shown evidence of high cleanup potentials, even applications in the Niger Delta communities, cleaning oil polluted soils. Another one in this same oil and gas sector is that invention by Dr. Dutola Toyin of the University of Port Harcourt. She calls it a hydrate loop. It's also indigenous by her. It's an eco-friendly innovation in flow assurance, also addressing gas production needs. So she had patronage in the oil industry. We also have, if I remember, yeah, the Cypher-Crescent power solver is also another one in the oil and gas sector, which is making a lot of waves, especially in the Niger Delta. It's a homegrown digital platform that integrates data analytics and engineering intelligence to optimize oil field assets performance. So we also have seen, not just limited to oil and gas sector, in the medical field, that this young man, Kele Augustine, that has something he called the rapid Medicare. So this also has shown to make a community, a healthcare technology company, now making the unified patient's electronic health record. So this way, people can have telemedicine work in real time. So I think that these examples are proven that when we connect research funding, policy support, and industrial uptake science, and all of us, the research outputs put together, we can drive and improve their livelihood ecosystem that we want to see.
All right, it would be great to see a budget including more spending on R&D in countries like Nigeria. But thank you so much, Professor Eukaria Waichi. She's a board member, Triple Helix Nigeria. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
All right, let's get a check now quickly on what's playing out with the markets that we track now. We're starting the African continent. We see it's a big move up there for the NGX All-Share Index, starting off this week, 144,000, 0.43% up. Then we see the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, just a minor pullback there, about 5 basis points, 109,000. Still all-time highs at this point, 724 points more. Let's get a check on that's North Africa, EGX 30. That's down 0.16% at intraday, 37,151 points. Then we see the Nairobi Stock Exchange closing on Friday in negative territory, 0.26% down. Let's get the Gulf nations now. We see in the UAE, it's mostly mildly negative there, about 5 basis points apiece for the Dubai and Abu Dhabi index. Let's get checked now on Saudi Arabia and Qatari index. That's a lone gainer there, 11,606 points, 0.68% up. That's in Saudi Arabia. Let's get a check on stock futures. There was mostly Monday after a sizable regional bank merger spurred enthusiasm on a bigger M&A wave is on the way as AMD shares surge on a partnership with OpenAI, and we see it's mostly green there for the futures in the U.S. 0.60% for the tech-heavy Nasdaq, 25,141 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average also up there, 0.19%. Up. So it's mostly green, given direction on what we can expect at the close of trade in the U.S. today. Let's get a check on Asia markets now. We see it's also the Nikkei. That's the superstar today. 225 over 4%. Rise to close today. There's a record high after the country's ruling Liberal Democratic Party elected a staunch conservative Sanai Takaichi as its new leader. That was on Saturday, positioning her to become the country's first female prime minister. And we see the markets are happy with that. The Nikkei up 4.75%. Let's get a check on other markets we track. In the region there, see the Nifty 50, that's also looking good, 25,000 points, 0.74% up, and the Shanghai Composite, 0.52%. So Asia is green. But let's see what's happening in Europe now. Touch Berlin, we have Chiponda Chimbelu right there. Great to have you, Chip. How are the markets looking in Europe?
Yeah, it's nice to be here, Laddie.
Yeah, how are the markets looking in Europe?
The markets are doing, recovering is what I would say. They are trading better than they were this morning. The Pan-European Euro Stock 600 was actually down earlier in the day, but it's trading up 0.1%. Now, earlier it was down 0.2%, and that was mostly because of French stocks. Now, France's main index, the CAC 40, slid 2% after the French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu announced his resignation, and that was just hours after appointing his new cabinet. Now, that means that the EU's second biggest economy has a political crisis once again, and Lecornu has been in office for less than 4 weeks. And that's obviously because of concerns over French debt. Now, banks in particular in the Eurozone have taken a hit in today's trading session. French lenders, Société Générale, Crédit Agricole, and BNP Paribas were all down between 5.7% and 7.3% in today's trading session.
All right, so what more can you tell us about, the political crisis in France there? We're seeing a lot of changes when it comes to, politics, and that definitely impacts, the markets.
Well, the French Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, resigned after the allies of Macron's government indicated that they would withdraw their support for that government. And that was because they were displeased by the cabinet that was announced. Now, while the French Prime Minister had promised to break with previous governments, the list of ministers that were announced didn't appear to reflect that, because most of the cabinet were actually ministers who had served in the previous administrations. And of course, the move by the French Prime Minister is a reminder of just how fraught the politics in the EU's second biggest economy are right now. Now, Sébastien Lecornu is the 7th Prime Minister, Laddie, to serve under President Emmanuel Macron, and the 4th one since the French president's party, the Renaissance Party, lost its majority in the National Assembly after the snap elections in the summer of 2024. And now it has to rely on the support of the far right or the left-leaning alliance to get any reform through the government, and that includes the national budget.
So what can we expect, from the French economy?
Well, more gridlock, political gridlock. The French government has been unable to reach a compromise on its budget, and one that could, of course, also allow it to bring about austerity measures so that it can, of course, prevent government debt from spiraling out of control. Now, there is no other EU country that holds more national debt in terms of absolute figures. France's sovereign debt has climbed to around 3.35 trillion euros, and that is about 113% of its GDP. Now, that is the 3rd highest debt to GDP ratio here in the EU, right behind Italy and then Greece, which is at the top. And markets have, of course, already responded with higher risk premiums on French bonds. Now, while German bonds carry an interest of about 2.7%, the French government needs to pay close to 3.5% interest for its debt. And that does make borrowing even more expensive for the French government. And the French are already spending around 67 euros annually on interest payments. And so it doesn't look like that's going to be going away anytime soon, given the fact that they cannot implement any austerity measures. So we will have to wait and see. This political drama is not going away in France anytime soon, Ladi.
Right, wait and see right there. Thank you so much, Chip, for the updates right there in Europe. Thank you. All right, let's get a quick check now what's playing out with the markets, and we see it's, wow, a new high for the token, that's for the Binance Exchange. Deep green, 5.58%, breaching $1,000 per coin after hitting that level for the first time ever. Then Bitcoin, 124,000. So we're seeing a massive rally right there in the crypto market. Some of the headlines there, we see token unlocks, they're expected this week. The crypto market is facing a token unlock over the next 7 days with the likes of Ether and Aptos leading the release schedule according to tokenomics data. Now we see Samsung there, they're prepping to offer some crypto services there. That's the big electronics maker there. They're partnering with Coinbase to allow smartphone users to purchase cryptocurrency right there. And we see PancakeSwap DEX, they're rolling out a cake pad there to launch some tokens not already in the market. So those are top headlines right there in the crypto space. We'll bring you more on what's playing out tomorrow. That's on Business Incorporated. But that's how the markets are looking today. Thanks for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.